Joel Embiid referred to the Celtics as a quote-unquote super team and said if he goes 5 for 20, the Sixers get blown out, suggesting Jason Tatum can get away with an off night because he has so much more help. So now that the Sixers have added Paul George, Caleb Martin, Eric Gordon, and Reggie Jackson, and Andre Drummond, to Tyrese Maxey and Kelly Oubre and Joel Embiid, Rachel, how much closer are Embiid's Sixers to the super team Celtics?
They're definitely closer. There's no question about it. And by the way, he's not wrong. No lies detected. The Celtics were a super team in this style of NBA, because it used to be that a super team was 3 mega stars and then whoever is the rest of the roster. You can't win like that in today's NBA. Yes, you need at least 2 really exceptional players at the top of the roster, but after that, as long as you fill in with really good role players all the way through, not just, you know, the top 3, but all the way 3 through 8, basically, that's how you're a super team in today's NBA, and that's what the Boston Celtics did. So I don't have any problem with what he said. He's right that in the past, if he went 5 for 20, that team was cooked. But you're right, they're not like that anymore. And I am so excited to see this Paul George, Maxey, Embiid partnership. I do think that Daryl Morey did another magician's job of picking up some excellent other role players. Yeah. Caleb Martin, I still don't even know what happened with Miami in that situation, but it was a great pickup by the Sixers. So I just think that when you look at what they've got, they are a threat to the Boston Celtics for this season. Boston's still the favorite. They're the reigning champions, but the Knicks got closer to them. The Sixers got closer to them. I think the Bucks are being underrated right now. I think they're going to come back much better this coming season than they were last season. And now they are armed for bear, right? The Sixers are, because they have these guys together. Of course, the mantra is assuming health. I mean, that's, you know, it used to be trust the process in Philadelphia. That was the, you know, the mantra. Now it's assuming health. They could contend for the spot in the finals.
So the Celtics are a 10. Then what are the 76ers? A 7?
That's a good question.
Is a 7 close to a 10?
I mean, I'd put them at maybe at least an 8.
So an 8 is closer to you than the 7, obviously, right?
Especially since last year they were not a 7 or an 8 in closeness.
And I understand what Embiid is doing in 5 or 20, and if it was me, you know, we'd lose. You lose because your butt can't stay healthy.
Thank you.
That's number one.
True.
That's first and foremost.
Yeah.
Because if you're not healthy, then the Sixers ain't going nowhere regardless. So it all starts with the health side of things. Because even if he was healthy last year, when he started out the season, looked like he was getting ready to be the MVP with a runaway. Tyrese Maxey caught fire and continued to stay consistent. Embiid was missing. Without Paul George, if Embiid is in the lineup and he's healthy, they close to the Celtics regardless. They're close to the Celtics regardless because he's the one individual outside of Joker at the big position there's nothing you can do with. When he's in shape, he plays both ends of the floor. He creates problem on the perimeter. If he decides to step out and knock down an open 3, he's a 90-some% free throw shooter. He's going to always be at the line. His resume, if he's healthy, is going to be ridiculous.
Yes.
But then when you add Paul George to the equation, you close the gap a little bit. But what's that chemistry going to look like? Are they going to be, because every single year that Embiid has been healthy and in Philadelphia starting the season, they've always had somebody. Whether it was when Jimmy was there, then you go out and you get James Harden. So you've always, in the offseason, picked up a piece or two, but then you fall to the wayside because you're not healthy. So that 1 or 2 pieces that you acquire can't take you over the hump because you're not there. So he's got to focus in more on him getting healthy, if it's his diet, whatever it is, so he can be on the floor. It's not about going and finding 6 or 7 guys. It's about him staying healthy. It's about him being healthy because by far you saw what he did on one leg against the Knicks.
Yeah.
He was out there on one leg against the Knicks, and for that, he was balling to me.
Yeah.
But if he had 2 legs, imagine what that would look like.
Yeah. Okay. Rachel, I appreciate and agree with every point you made. There's no lie detected here, no lie told. I just didn't want to hear him tell it because you're better than that. Because to answer your question about if they're a 10, how close? When he's right, when he's healthy and plugged in and engaged and in shape, They're a 10. That's who they are because he's better than anybody the Celtics have individually. He's better than Jason Tatum. He's better than Jaylen Brown. He's better than Porzingis. Name them. Al Horford, obviously. Yeah. I mean, he's just better when he's right. But it's rare that he's right, where he's completely plugged in and engaged and in shape and all those things because he's extraordinary. We have never seen a big man be able to do the things that he does on a consistent basis. Because just the free throw shooting alone, I've never seen anything like it before because so many stars have trouble shooting free throws. He just goes up there and just easy swishes them like he does it in his sleep, like he could shoot it behind his back and make it. Like it doesn't bother him at all.
He's going to get at least
and he's going to get a bunch of
10
them.
to 12 points a game just on free throws.
At the free throw line. He's going to lead the league in free throws attempted, and he's going to shoot 90-ish%. You can't buy that, man. You can't find that. So I just don't need to hear him say, yeah, but they've got a super... you got a super you. You got a super you.
I got a super team. They got a super team.
Come
There's
on,
nothing we can do about it.
Yeah, come on.
We've talked about this. Paul George is a multiplier. That's how I always talk about him, right? He's not just an addition. He's not just bringing another skill set or another position. He is going to multiply Tyrese Maxey. He is going to multiply Joel Embiid. And it's not just in terms of the on-the-court stuff and making their lives easier and giving them more openings to the hoop. It's also about health. And PG talked about it in his press conference yesterday. We've talked about it for months on this set. The idea that Joel Embiid doesn't have to be in the game, doesn't have to be the guy, and that's what I think you heard him saying with that, oh, if I go 5 for 12. He has been under so much physical pressure in terms of the defensive attention that he gets and also mental pressure. Yeah. It's some of the things that have forced him back from injury early, and then he's gotten more hurt because he felt this mental pressure. I got to be in there. I got to do it. I got to prove people I'm tough. He doesn't have to do that with Paul George there. And I think that is going to be a huge weight off of him, again, both mentally and physically, because he's going to get beat up a lot less. He's going to have more room. If he needs to take a day off for health reasons, he can do that, knowing that PG is there. I just think that when he sits there and he expresses that frustration, yes, it's a little bit, you don't need to hear it right now from him. Go out on the court and do it. I totally get that. But it has been such a long-standing thing, and I think he is so relieved now that Paul George can do those kinds of things for him. I think it's just all coming out.
At the beginning of the season this past season, the start of the season, when you talk about the NBA and basketball out the East, you mentioned Milwaukee, Philadelphia, Boston, and you had an if, because what happened to Boston with Miami. You knew Boston would be good, but Philadelphia was in that conversation without Paul George because of Embiid. They was in the conversation.
I liked him.
And Embiid just didn't stay healthy, and then he got healthy enough at the end of the season, but it didn't carry him where they wanted to because he was still limping and re-injuring. Remember against the Knicks, he jumped up. I don't know if it was a rebound or a block shot or something, but he jumped up, he came down on it, and it buckled. And then all of a sudden, you got to go in. You figure he's not coming back out the second half. All of those sort of things. So just because they pick up Paul George, I get it, I understand it, but it starts with him and that health.
But why was he injured for a big chunk of the end of the season? It wasn't because of the initial injury. He had a pretty just sort of minor injury, the kind that all guys have at some point during the season. He rested an extra game. He got a ton of criticism for resting an extra game. It happened to be against Jokic. That sort of started up all of that again. And he felt all of it. He said it out loud. He said he felt all this pressure to come back for the next game and to prove to people that people who keep saying, oh, you're too fragile, you're too injured, and he doesn't see himself that way, and that's when he got hurt.
See,
so if you can eliminate that mental process for him where PG can be like, man, I got this. Stay off your feet for another game. Let's give it until you really feel 100%. He's not going to have that whole back of the season or that performance against the Knicks when he's hurt because he never would have gotten hurt that way in the first place.
I think getting hurt has something to do with his staying healthy, being healthy. That's just